Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? And Ron will do the invocation. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in prayer. Father God, we come before you and we praise your holy name. We praise you for the rain that you brought. Father, we praise you for all the other blessings you shower upon this town. And Father, we just ask for your protection on our first responders, our firefighters, our police, the EMS, and Father, we also ask for the protection on our workers up here, those that are helping rebuild this town. We pray that they stay safe and they're able to do their job. And Father, we just ask you to be with us tonight as we go about the work of this town. I pray that we all up here have wisdom and make the right decision. In your Son's precious name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Roll call.
Roll call. Councilmember Crowder.
Here.
Councilmember Culleton.
Here.
Councilmember Lassonde.
Here.
Vice Mayor Tryon. Here. And Mayor Bowen.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start out with some recognitions, proclamations, recognitions. So, first one is a VIP member that is retiring, James Boozer. Or is James here? Bozer. Is it Bozer? I didn't mean to mess it up. I'm sorry. So, here's James. Whereas James Bozer was appointed a volunteer in police service by Police Chief Jerry Kerrigan on October 2003. And whereas James Bozer is retiring from serving the community of Paradise as a member of the VIPS after 20 years of service. And whereas James has served on the VIPS Patrol, Traffic, and Disaster and Special Events Detail. And whereas James has volunteered for over 5,000 hours of VIPS service, 5,000 hours. Whereas the Town Council and the Town of Paradise recognize the valuable contribution to the betterment of the community from VIPS members who spend numerous hours in the service of the town with no compensation. Whereas James has generously donated his time and energy for the public good and performed his duties as a VIP member with thoughtfulness and professionalism. Now I, therefore, Greg Boland, Mayor of the Town of Paradise, do hereby recognize and express appreciation to James for his dedication to service to the Town of Paradise. James, would you come up?
I'm not retiring.
You're not retiring?
No.
Okay.
They haven't kicked me out yet.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You want to say something?
No, I'm okay with it. I just want to thank everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Congratulations.
Where'd you get this idea I was retiring?
That's my fault. I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't clean it
He's
up.
hinting at something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's take a picture.
Am I gonna get a raise?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, big smile there, Jim. Yeah.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
And I have the names here. So we have Tom Baker and Executive Director Nicole Bateman here.
Yes, we do.
Okay, I'm going to read this proclamation. So this is a proclamation declaring 2023 as a year of recognition for the Habitat for Humanity of Butte County for their 30 years of service. Whereas the Habitat for Humanity of Butte County began its affordable homeownership housing efforts in 1993 and has, with its programs, prospective homeowners, donors, and volunteers built 48 energy-efficient homes, 13 of those since the Camp Fire. And whereas Habitat has served 63 adults who raised 94 children in homes they can afford and thrive in. And whereas Habitat homeowners have provided over 15,750 hours of sweat equity hours to help build their homes. And whereas Habitat homeowners have received 2,772 hours of financial and homeownership classes. And whereas Habitat families have pledged their labor and their commitment to building and maintaining homes, creating strong neighborhoods and communities, to shop locally, attend community events, and pay property taxes. And whereas volunteers have provided 25,200 volunteer hours on the construction site, which is equivalent to $378,000 in labor costs. And whereas Habitat's Restore has diverted nearly 6,500,000 pounds or 3 cargo ships of building materials and household goods from the landfill since 2004. And whereas Habitat's Restore has generated over $1 million in net proceeds to support the mission of the building affordable homes for homeownership in Butte County. And whereas Habitat has partnered with local government to build energy efficient, sustainable, and affordable housing to contribute to neighborhoods and development. And whereas Habitat has had a 100% success rate, meaning zero owners have foreclosed on their mortgages. And whereas Habitat's future is promising to continue growth in building more homes in Butte County for local families with much to celebrate and more to build. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Town Council and the Town of Paradise hereby declares that the entire year of 2023 be a year of recognition and appreciation for 30 years of service to our community by Habitat for Humanity, Butte County, who along with the Restore and thousands of businesses and community members have made invaluable contributions to improve the quality and character of our town. Thank you.
That was a mouthful.
Wow. I made it. Thank you guys so much.
We want to get a picture with all of our.
Great.
Yeah.
Come on up.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Tom. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
You guys want to say something?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Well, thank you. I know that was a mouthful, so thanks for getting through that, Greg. But a lot happens in 30 years. So I just want to introduce who is with me tonight. We have, Tom Baker, who's on our board, and then also Tom Hayes, and then Teresa Clute is also with me. And I have a staff member, Jenny Fales, who's also taking the picture, so that's who's with us this evening. But thank you so much for your support. We have so much appreciated the partnership that we've formed with the Town of Paradise. Since the campfire, we've completed 17 homes. 11 of them actually have been up here in Paradise. And our goal was to build 10 houses a year, and this year we're going to complete 8, and then next year 9, and next year after that 10. So we're very, very close to our goal. And we actually just recently received, we will be receiving $1 million from Assemblyman Gallagher's office. And part of that award will actually come up here to Paradise to help us to continue building housing up here for those 10 houses a year. And we're always looking for Habitat for volunteers to come out and help us with our construction site, because that's one of the ways we keep the houses affordable. And we're also always looking for homeowners. So if you know people who might be interested in a Habitat house, we certainly are always looking to talk with people about our qualifications and how they might partner with us. And just lastly, we're actually going to be part of Rise and Grind on October 18th with the Paradise Chamber of Commerce out on our Dora Lee construction site. So if you're available, come on out on 8 o'clock next Wednesday and to see us in the construction mode. So thank you again for your support.
Thank you.
Would you take my card?
Yeah.
I know Councilman Lasan showed up at one of your work sites and helped out and participated. I want to help, so have one of your construction people call me, and I'm retired, I'll come by and do whatever they tell me to do.
Perfect. Thank you.
You guys have been a great partner in our comeback, so thank you so much for all you're doing. I know it's a lot of hours, and you guys are doing great. Okay, we're going to move on to 1G, Campfire Recovery Update, written reports. Colette Curtis, Recovery and Economic Development. Any questions or seeing none? Mark Maddox, Public Works Director, Town Engineer. Any questions on that report? Tony Lindsay, CDD Building and Code Enforcement. Hearing nothing, we're going to move on to Kate Anderson, Business and Housing Manager. Any questions? Okay. Moving on, we're going to go to consent calendar. I would ask that we pull 2F out of the consent calendar. I'll need to recuse myself on that vote. Is there anything else needs to be pulled out?
Can we pull 2D and 2E?
2D and 2E also. 2E? 2D and, no, that's not it.
Sorry.
I think you want 2H.
2H, yeah.
2D and 2H, okay. So we have 2F, 2D, and 2H pulled out. Is there a motion for the rest of the consent calendar?
So moved.
I do have a card on 2H and 2G from Morganville and 2H.
Well, we're going to come to that vote here in a second. We pulled those.
2G we did not pull up. 2G is still on there.
2G is on there. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, yes. Thank you.
Good evening, council. Welcome to winter, I guess. Did you get any rain? We can use it. Well, no, rain's good for preventing fires, isn't it? One of my machos right now. 2G, about changing speed limits. Just generally, there's a lot of people in Paradise that think our police department doesn't write speeding tickets. Now, I don't think that's true, but it's a thought that several members of our community have, because they see it, and they see a cop, and they don't see a cop stop a speeder. And they're surmising that we just don't do a good job writing speeding tickets. Now, frankly, there's a big difference once you get into town at 30, and you're getting ready to go to 35. But to start the 35 and jump it up to 45, when you're 4 or 5 blocks before getting out of town, that does seem like you're pushing it quite a bit. And many people feel locals are pretty good at sticking around 30 or 35. And the out-of-town contractors that are sailing through here are going like crazy. Maybe we let them go because we want them to go get their parts and come back and finish building whatever they're building. But there's a general feeling in town that our PD does not write speeding tickets. Thank you for your time. Now, am I on now for H as well?
No, not yet. We're going to vote on consent.
Second the motion to,
We don't have a motion yet. Go ahead and do it. Did you motion?
Oh, yeah, move to approve the rest of the consent
sorry.
agenda with the items.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Motion by Tryon. Motion by Tryon, seconded by Culleton to approve the consent calendar without items 2D, F, and H. Roll call vote, Councilmember Carter.
Aye.
Councilmember Culleton.
Aye.
Councilmember Lassonde.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Tryon.
Aye.
And Mayor Boland.
Aye. So let's jump on 2D right now. You have a question?
In this position, if I'm reading this correctly, it will have a savings the first year, but then, and it's a reclassification, so we're not hiring anybody new, and it'll have a savings the first year, break even third year, and then there is an increase in the break even the second year, increase in the third year. Do I have that correct?
Let me try and take that in pieces just to provide a little bit of context. So right now, currently the Town of Paradise Engineering Division has 3 vacant positions for Engineering Division Manager, Capital Projects Manager, and Infrastructure Program Manager. We are proposing to reclassify one of those positions to a Supervising Project Manager and then add 2 Associate Engineers. The net fiscal impact due to these vacancies for this fiscal year will be a savings of $573. And for fiscal year 24-25, assuming we were able to have all 3 of those vacant positions filled, the increase would be about $3,567 annually. And these projects are again managing about over $500 million in capital projects and about 75 to 85% reimbursable through those capital projects that those staff members are working on. So I'd love to have all 3 of those positions filled for next fiscal year, and if so, if that was the case, it would be a cost increase of $3,500.
Okay, and then how does that work for a career track for staff?
I apologize, my microphone was off. Can you repeat that question?
How does that work for a career track for staff?
So for these positions specifically,
Yes.
well, so in many public works engineering divisions, there are staff that have licenses and certifications for their professional engineer license for civil engineering. And there's also other staff through a combination of qualifications, education and experience that hold positions that do not require a license. We are proposing kind of more of a hybrid model of those 2 options to adapt to really a failed recruitment for engineering division manager. We did not have any qualified applicants in that position. And we are moving forward and trying to, we approved in the last budget an assistant engineer position that will be starting in January of 2024. And we're looking for 2 associate engineers. And associate engineer is someone who has probably mid-level reached a point of having their civil engineering license, a professional engineer in California, where assistant engineer does not. Fresh graduate looking to take their PE and reach that certification. From there, there's senior civil engineers, which we have in our job description and our pay plan, but we do not have any of those positions being flown at this time because of a variety of factors, but mostly we've seen chronic vacancies across the county in comparable jurisdictions that offer positions with increased pay with less responsibilities that they cannot fill. So with that, we are looking to propose something that makes sense, that is financially prudent, that does not have a major impact to the budget, so we can fill the positions and complete the work of the department.
Thank you.
Okay, any cards on this?
I have no cards on 2D.
Okay, what's the wish of the council?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Tryon, seconded by Lassonde to approve item 2D. 2D. Roll call, Councilmember Crowder.
Aye.
Councilmember Culleton.
Aye.
Councilmember Lassonde.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Tryon.
Aye.
And Mayor Boland.
Aye. So we'll go on to 2F, and with that, I'll need to step out on that one. Recuse myself.
It is 2F, correct?
2F.
I thought it was 2E.
Oh, 2E, 2D.
Oh, no, that was a mistake on my part.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Just F and H.
Right.
Okay, so moving on to 2F, approve attached professional services agreement with the Butte Fire Safe Council and authorize the town manager to execute the contract in order to proceed with recent FEMA and Cal OES approved pre-phase 2 award work. Do we have any comments or questions from the council? No? Do you have any cards on this?
I have no cards on this item.
What is the pleasure of the council on this?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Lassonde, seconded by Crowder. Roll call vote, Councilmember Crowder.
Aye.
Councilmember Culleton.
Aye.
Councilmember Lassonde.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Tryon.
Aye.
And Mayor Boland is absent.
All right, very good. Now we're going to go to 2H. We have a card on that. Ward,
Yes, Ward Gabriel.
2H?
This is pretty simple. We don't want to be understaffed when it comes to the safety of our community. We don't. Just getting one now, in my opinion, is not enough. You got to get whatever you can afford and get them however we can. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, you pulled this, Rose, you have a question?
Good evening, Chief Reinbold.
Good evening.
I just have a question on, so this is a part-time position that you're, or it's an additional staff that you're looking to fill. And I guess my question was, is this going to be like a retired annuitant? Like, how are you looking at filling this? And then how do we, I'm assuming it's going to be a full-time position if it's what I'm looking at correctly in the package?
Correct.
And then how do we go about setting that time limit for that person, or what are your thoughts there?
Sure. So I think, just to kind of give an overview, we have been trying to get to our staffing capacity of 19 sworn officers since the rebuild efforts after the campfire. Pre-fire, we were at 21 plus a part-time detective. We're currently at 17 sworn officers. We have one lateral applicant in the final stages of background, hoping to onboard them at the end of this month. So an invitation will be forthcoming. And then we have an academy recruit attending the Butte College Academy, which would be the 19th. And then we'll obviously onboard them after they graduate in December. The challenges have been that, just in general terms, we've had 2 officers out, actually 3 up until last night on injury. So one of those officers is backfilling their patrol shift. The other 2, one's been out since May, one's been out since last November. The resolution of those is yet to be determined. What that's done, to Ward's point, hey, we'd like to see more traffic enforcement. Well, we've had one sergeant working the last 6 months, and both of those 2 that have been out happen to be on his team. So myself, the lieutenants, investigations have all been filling in on patrol. So really just responding to the priority calls, trying to work traffic as we can. The challenge is that it's not often that we have a lateral interested in, coming to work for us. It's far and few between. People are worried about job security, not willing to move, even with high recruitment incentives and such. So we're still currently recruiting and going through our applications, and so this additional position would be for a full-time police officer, whether that would be starting as an academy recruit or if we get lucky to find another qualified lateral applicant. I do see it being short-term in the sense that we do have some retirements on the horizon. I don't know how these injuries are going to resolve, but at the end of the day, we're still stuck with those vacancies and short-staffed, so we can't count on those folks to fill in on the schedule. There has been some cost savings. That second animal control officer position, we have been unsuccessful in filling. We have a dispatch position that we'll fill on October 30th, but there's cost savings there leading up to this point in the fiscal year, as well as the 2 vacant officer positions that we're hopefully going to fill by the end of this calendar year. So just doing the rough math and talking with finance as far as the fiscal impact through the end of this fiscal year, it doesn't appear that there's going to be any financial cost in addition to what we have budgeted. Now, having said that, if we do onboard somebody and in the next 7 or 8 months, we don't resolve those positions, we'll probably have to have another conversation and kind of reevaluate where we are. But the challenge has always been, one step behind and, trying to climb a sand mountain as far as recruitment and staying ahead of, people that maybe retire or move on. And so really just asking for an opportunity to try to get ahead of that for a period of time.
Are you having a lot of overtime because of?
We haven't been mandatory overtime. There have been some night shifts that we've asked people to fill in, and so there are folks that have worked quite a bit of overtime. And then really absorbing the short staffing on day shift when we're in between our other duties to help fill in.
Okay.
So, Chief, I know for a whole long time you've been fighting this, and I know that quite a few times here recently we've had one officer on patrol during day, and kind of towards point, that's not safe for the officer, it's not safe for the community, and I think this is something we really need to get behind and support, because it's important. You guys are doing a great job out there, and I hear it every day, and I want to see that continue, and I don't want to see somebody on the street by themselves. So I think we need to support this.
I would agree with you, and when we can get to our staffing model, we're going to have the depth to be able to hopefully, first and foremost, fill that school resource officer position that we already have an agreed upon MOU with the school district, and then if staffing allows, I would like to entertain the idea of a part-time or full-time traffic enforcement officer. So those are our goals, and we're working towards those. It's just a matter of getting those people in the positions to be able to do it.
Great, thank you for explaining it.
Sure, absolutely.
I appreciate it. I move to approve.
Did you have
One more question. Do you have a candidate in mind for this, or are we just going to have another vacancy on the book?
So, open recruitment right now. We've talked to the academy recently.
Got those two coming, yeah.
Yeah, well, this week, we talked to the academy about the upcoming recruits. Unfortunately, so far, everyone is sponsored, but our recruitment efforts are still out there, and we're talking about going out to other academies and.
So if we authorize this tonight, you're going to actively pursue it, but the possibility is you may not be able to hire for some time. Is that what I'm hearing?
There's the potential for that. So to your point is that if, we're going to put somebody in the next academy, we'd have to go through the background process, and that's 3 or 4 months. So it isn't that we have somebody waiting in line right this moment.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Do you already have in your budget money for us to sponsor somebody in the academy? Did we already approve that?
So we do through Measure V, there was $40,000 for recruitment incentive and for academy sponsorship.
Okay.
This academy recruit, we're picking up towards the end. There is still some cost for ammunition and, of course, wages, but pretty minimal for the entire course. And so with the lateral incentive, some of that will be ate up. But we do have $40,000 for that this fiscal year, so we'll monitor that. And if we do put someone in January, we might have to look at an adjustment.
Let those laterals know that if they come to work for us, they get a brand-new car.
That's right. Good equipment, good people, great community. I mean,
Yes.
there's a lot of benefits.
Yeah, there are many benefits to being here.
Okay, we have a motion on the table.
I so move.
We have a motion.
Rose, okay.
Oh,
You want a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Motion by Tryon, seconded by Lassonde. Roll call vote. Councilmember Craver?
Aye.
Councilmember Culleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Lassonde?
Aye.
Okay, Vice Mayor Tryon?
Thank you, Chief. Aye.
And Mayor Boland.
Aye.
All right, thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Okay, we have public communication. This is where you have an opportunity, anyone that wants to come up and speak to anything that's not on the agenda. We cannot act on it or take any action, but you have 3 minutes to say your piece. Is there any cards on this?
I have one card from Ward Gabriel.
Who'd have thought?
Yay.
So I'll put my other hat on now, representing the Fire Safe Council, and invite you to come to the movie Thursday night, Wilder Than Wild, a promotional piece and for support, financial support to the Fire Safe Council, but also an emphasis in this on what is a fire-safe community. How could your property be fire safe? And a lot of detail in this movie. Great to come, you can get in for free, but if you'd like to make a donation, it supports the Fire Safe Council here, which is doing a great job.
Where's it at, Ward?
Yeah.
Where's it at?
State Theater, Orville. 6 to 8 p.m., October 12th, Thursday. That's this Thursday, 2 days from now. Yeah, thank you. I thought you had one of these on your bulletin board, you don't?
I thought we did.
I'm sure we will before the end of the night.
We will right now.
I'll help you with that. We've been putting them up in quite a few places. I'm sorry I missed this one. Okay, another topic here. I bought the property next to me. Come to find out, I'm not the only one that's doing this for the same reason. It's a fire break. In 2012, my neighbor had a lot of trouble finding a person to help her clean the pine needles off the roof of her house and her carport, and she died. The people that inherited her house did nothing on that property. So from 2012 to 2018, the pine needles were this high, right next to my property line, and the fire came down my street. I know why I lost my house. That ain't gonna happen again. I'm going to have irrigation over there. I'm going to have a lot of native plants, but I am going to have some grass, and I'm going to keep it as a safe distance and more defensible space for my personal property. but it also means not paying property taxes for having a house there. Come to find out, the next street over from me's got the same situation. They're not going to put a house on the other piece of property they bought. 2 blocks above them, there's 2 residents there that bought 2 lots for the same reason, to have a more defensible space, and it means fewer taxes. Last thing, knowing that my neighbor across from me, who has a horribly maintained property, uses the same contractor every year to clean it, once a year, even though they get the letter in between. This year, no, he raised his price to $1,100 to clean this acre. And I thought, that's cheaper than I used to pay. So they hired somebody else, some kid with a weed eater. And I said, you can't quit with that. And he goes, yeah. I said, what makes you think you can clean just this and not all of that that's down next to my property and the one on the other side? He said, they never get out of their truck to look at it. It'll pass. I thought, that's a bunch of crap. But you know what? That's what CAL FIRE does.
Okay, thank you, Ward. Anyone else?
Thank you for your time.
I have no other cards on this item.
Anybody else want to speak? Seeing nobody jump to their feet. We're going to move on. Public hearing, we have none, so we're going to council consideration. 6A, consider adopting resolution number 2023-46,
46?
a resolution, Town Council of Town of Paradise confirming costs of abatement and approving liens and special assessments against specific properties for code enforcement activities. This would be Scott Huber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. This matter that's before you is for your consideration. As you know, we have been tasked with significant code enforcement activities and cleanup. The Town of Paradise, in engaging in these significant code enforcement activities in recent years, this is to ensure that code compliance is obtained to the maximum extent practicable, so that you've got, for example, fire breaks and properties that are cleared of weeds and brush and debris that may catch fire. There are, again, that's not the only type of code enforcement activity that we have, but for most of the code enforcement actions, self-abatement by the property owners is the most common. It happens quite a bit. Frequently, individuals will be cited. They will come in and be offered the services that they need, or they'll be referred to the services that they need, and they get it taken care of, or they do it on their own. After some significant effort is expended, when individuals still have not complied, code enforcement will again ramp up, step by step by step. Ultimately, it leads to legal action by the town attorney and by our firm. There are 2 different types of code enforcement actions. One type is where we actually file an action against the property owners and the property. When that process goes through, it ends up with a judgment, an actual a court judgment. It doesn't take any action by the council. We take that judgment and we record it against the property. That's a legitimate recordation of that judgment against the property. Now, of course, we talked about expediting some of these code enforcement cases where we go in and ask for an abatement warrant, which gives us a 14-day window to get a property cleaned after significant non-action by a property owner. We go in, we get an abatement warrant, we return to the court, we outline for the court what was done, what the expenses were. That doesn't result in a judgment. And so in order to place these liens on the property, for the town to ultimately recover the expenses that you fronted to clean these properties or to abate the nuisances on these properties. For the second category, where we get an abatement warrant, where it doesn't result in a judgment, council needs to approve these items so that we can then take that resolution and file against the properties. We'll place liens on the properties, and at some point, the town will be made whole either through payment through the property tax process or through the property sale process. When someone goes to sell their property, this will show up as a lien on title, and it'll be taken care of through escrow. So, happy to answer any questions you may have. As you'll notice, the the 4 properties that are there, the costs vary widely. Some of them were easier to clean than others. I can tell you the vast majority of these legal expenses are minimal. They're between, I think one was $1,500, you know, up to a couple of $1,000s. Legal expenses are not the major piece of these. It is actually the abatement or cleanup of the property itself that is the major cost on most of these.
Okay, any questions? Do we have any cards?
I have no cards on this item.
Anybody wish to speak to this? Seeing nobody?
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Motion by Culleton, seconded by Crowder. Roll call vote. Councilmember Crowder?
Aye.
Councilmember Culleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Lassonde?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Tryon?
Aye.
And Mayor Boland.
Aye. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
All right, 6B, consider adopting resolution number 2023-47, I'm guessing?
You correct?
Lucky. A resolution of the Town Council and Town of Paradise approving the plans and specifications for the animal shelter expansion project and authorizing advertisement for the bids on the project. Mark Maddox.
All right, thank you, Mayor Bowling. Good evening, council again. As mentioned in the item description, we are asking council to adopt a resolution approving the plans and specifications for the animal shelter expansion project, as well as authorizing staff to advertise for bids on the project. The animal control facility has been identified for need of expansion and address the operational needs of the staff, volunteers, and animals served. The shelter was originally constructed in 1981 with minimal modifications since this time. This council has heard presentations from PASH, and I see there's representatives from PASH here this evening that can speak to the project or the need if desired. But with that, prior direction from council was for PASH to help facilitate the design of an expansion project, and when delivered, the Town of Paradise would process that building permit application, package the project together, and move forward with the construction of the project with our own funds, and with the infill of the structure being further donated by PASH. So with that, we are in receipt of approved building plans here for your consideration and requesting authorization to advertise for bids. The project has many benefits as indicated here on the staff report, doubling the capacity for the cat population, improved outdoor access and exercise areas for both cats and dogs, a meet and greet room for people to interact with potential adoptees, separate cat and dog isolation and quarantine areas, enhanced public reception and staff work areas, exam, treatment, and bathing rooms, and indoor storage room for shelter supplies. With council approval of the plans and specifications, we will seek to advertise for bids here very soon, hoping to award a contract at the November 14th regular town council meeting. Obviously, we are here upon winter, and the forecast is for a heavier winter. We're going to be cautiously optimistic to start work here this winter and through the spring to complete the project. So with that, we have the plans and specifications on file here at the Public Works Office, and the financial impacts on the project. Again, as the design has been donated through PASH, we are looking at construction costs only. The engineer's estimate is just over $534,000, and we have budgeted $400,000 from the American Rescue Plan Act ARPA fund, and $200,000 in total from Measure V, for a total budget of $600,000 on the project. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions of the council.
So, Mark, I have a question. And my understanding now, PASH is taking care of basically the inside, the furnishings and...
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So was this originally what we talked about with the total project, doing this like this?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does PASH wish to add anything to this? Do you guys wish to say anything? No. No, okay. I have a question. So there's the courtyard right next to that. What's the plans? You know, there's going to be an expansion into that. What's the plan?
Sure. So we've been in coordination, obviously, on the project, and there's minor fence modifications that are needed that are associated with the $200,000 in Measure V. A small portion of that will need to go towards the fence modifications that separate Public Works and the animal shelter. As for the overall vision, nothing in the proposed project is in conflict with any potential direction that the council seeks to move forward when it comes to rebuilding the Public Works Corporation yard. We're still looking at options. We're hoping to reach an agreement, and prior discussions at council meetings were once that agreement is reached with our insurance provider and a payout is issued, forming a facilities committee to make those types of decisions, and whether or not Public Works will be re-sited at that location or an alternate location. But again, assuming kind of the most conservative outcome on rebuilding a corp yard at the same location which it originally existed, we are confident that this project is not in conflict with those two things working together. Moving forward, if we were to relocate somewhere else, there's potential that the shelter could want to use that land for additional area and as part of their normal operations and caring for the pets.
walking the animals.
Yes.
Mark, does this plan also include any work in the yard area? I know there was discussion when I was out there once about additional areas for dog walks and all that, or is that predicated on Public Works moving out of that facility?
So that's correct. What you just said is correct. The item before you is approving the construction of the expansion. There might be minor modifications to the existing care areas outdoors, but I believe that larger vision would be under the assumption that Public Works vacates that area.
But if they don't vacate, the town still owns that whole corner section where the green waste yard is.
That's correct.
And all the space between this addition and the green waste yard. There's a bunch of land there that belongs to the town. So there's plenty of room for patch or for dog walking areas and other things, even if they don't vacate that, if they rebuild in that area of the Public Works.
Got it. Thank you.
Great.
All right, do we have any cards on this?
I have no cards on this item.
Anyone wish to come speak to this? See nobody jump to their feet?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Crowder, seconded by Tryon to adopt resolution number 2023-47. Roll call vote, Councilmember Crowder,
Aye.
Councilmember Culleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Lassonde,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Tryon,
Aye.
and Mayor Boland.
Aye. And I want to thank PASH for all their work. This has been something that's been a anchor on us for a long time. We need to do something there, and you guys have stepped up and done a tremendous job of helping us get there. So thank you, and looking forward to a successful project on this. So this is great. So thanks. Yes, yes. Well, you guys have done a lot of work. It's been fun to watch. Okay, we're gonna move on. 6C, consider adopting resolution number 2023-48 is my guess.
Yes, good.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Paradise awarding a contract number 9429 Con Interim Striping Safety Project 2023. Mark Maddox again.
Thank you, Mayor Boland. The item before you again is to award a contract for our interim striping safety project, interim safety striping project 2023. This is, again, an annual project that we've been doing for the last couple of years. As with many parts of our recovery, there tend to be different seasons and priorities and things to be prepared for. And one of those is with the heavy impacts to our roads and rebuilding our striping fades a little bit faster than other areas, other communities most likely. So with that, we've continued to try and sequence safety projects that help kind of stripe and improve the visibility of center line details, striping details, intersection markings, stop legends, and other critical pavement markings on various roads throughout town. So the last couple of years, we've been able to hit a lot of major collectors and arterials, really trying to evaluate the life cycle costs and the planned paving, because with those paving projects comes fresh, brand new striping that should last a much longer time with the material that we're applying in those roadways. So here before you is a recommendation for award of a contract. Council approved the plans and specifications on September 12th to advertise this year's project. Our engineer's estimate was $87,000. And before you in the recommendation to proceed with an award at the low bid of $206,252.80 from Specialized Pavement Markings LLC, or LCC. I'm sorry, that's supposed to be LLC. in the amount of their base bid. So with that, obviously the financial cost is over double what we had previously estimated. This is due to a variety of factors, one of which being there was statewide labor cost increases that occurred in July, especially for prevailing wage rates. And then our bidding pool, I reached out to both contractors to try and find out, what's going on, are there other things we should be aware of? And both of them indicated, again, labor costs are up, as well as material costs and a shortage of schedule and time to get these projects done before the winter season. So with that, staff really did heavily weigh the costs, literally, and the benefits of the project, and still recommend moving forward with an award of the project and increasing the budget for the project through a transfer or an adjustment with this action of an additional $131,000 from our local transportation fund. That's transit funds that are allocated to us through Butte County Association of Governments and the operation of Beeline transit operations. And those funds are allocated to us for these types of purposes and these projects. We have available funding in this account, and based on the safety needs of these roads, I have an exhibit here on the computer that show we're looking to stripe Oliver Road, Valley View, Billy, Skyway, Rocky, North Libby, Middle Libby, Academy, and portions of Foster. And with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions the council might have about the recommendation before you.
I got a couple questions. I understand there's this Adventist school on Academy Drive. What I'm really concerned about is looking at this map, nothing's being planned from Wagstaff to Skyway. That's a majorly traveled road. And it's not in the plan. But I'm looking at like Academy Drive and some of Honey Run Road, some of these roads that aren't even open to the public, nobody really uses. I mean, Academy they do, but Honey Run they don't. I mean, Wagstaff to Skyway on Clark Road is a heavily traveled road. And right now, there's no fog lines, there's very little center line. And when it rains and fog and things happen, so I'm just curious, I mean, can we add things to this? Can we change? I mean, why were they left out?
Certainly. So I'll take your last sentence in order. So yes, we can add things. And then to get to kind of the crux of the question is this list was identified through a collaboration between Public Works Maintenance Team and obviously our engineering staff. We ask our maintenance team, who has their eyes on the roads every single day, to help us prepare a list of the roads that critically need striping before the winter season. With that list, we take that and compare it to where we've performed work elsewhere in recent years and compare that also to where we're going to be paving next year. With that, on the specific question of Clark Road, Wagstaff to Skyway, I can't speak to why it's left off other than to say it either likely was striped in the year before or year prior and it should be within its useful life because we have hit most of those critical arterials, but also can say that with the contingency funds that are added to project budgets, that hitting other areas that might have been missed are certainly an eligible use of those funds. And so the recommendation in front of the council is for a base bid award and identifying a 10% contingency of $20,625. What's really nice about these types of contracts, and you see the items that are before you listed, detail 8, 21, 27B, those are contract unit prices that we achieve. And so if there's a couple of areas, again, that need to be added, that's well within our realm of abilities to do as we move forward to construction.
I understand, and I get some roads are going to be repaved next year. I know we did, I think maybe we did Clark Road last year, that section. I know, and I remember last year or the year before, it's about public safety. It's primarily, and that section of roadway is also part of the Beeline bus route. So if we're taking some of their money to do this, that's what the bus drives up every day a couple times. And when you have that many people as well, never mind the construction stuff, but I'm talking about tanker trucks going up to Magalia to refill the gas station, supply trucks, and just the people coming from Magalia, they don't all go down Skyway. that road is used a lot, as opposed to Middle Libby or Academy Drive. I mean, the amount of traffic that's on that road, I don't care if we're gonna repave it next year, if we striped it last year. To me, the most heavily traveled roads, whether they get striped every year or not, should be a priority. I mean, I'm an older gentleman, so when I drive those roads at night in the rain, it's really hard to see, and especially on sections of road like that or in Pence, where you have ditches on the side. If you, in the fog, go off the road, you're in a ditch, I don't know, I'm sorry, I made my point, I'll shut up.
I just have a question. So you're trying to work these around has been paved and is not going to be ripped up again?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Doesn't make it safer.
Okay. So, I mean, you can look at that, right?
Yes, I can.
Assess it,
Yep.
okay. All right, any cards?
No cards on this item.
Anyone wish to speak to this? Seeing nobody jump up?
I'll move approval, but if you would look into that and see if we could add that, great. It's a danger, but I'll move for approval of what you put before us.
Second.
Motion by Culliton, seconded by Tryon to adopt resolution number 2023-48. Roll call vote, Councilmember Crowder.
Aye.
Councilmember Culliton.
Aye.
Councilmember Lassonde.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Tryon.
Aye.
And Mayor Boland.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, 6D, consider adopting resolution number 2023-49, a resolution of the Town Council, Town of Paradise, to adopt an agreement for the rights of access and use of the Paradise Transit Center between the Town of Paradise and Butte County Association of Governments, and authorize the town manager to execute an agreement. This is the Mark Maddox night.
It sure is. Thank you, Mayor Boland. Glad to present this item before you. It's really exciting. I've been involved in some form or fashion on this project again since 2016 about a Paradise Transit Center coming to fruition. So it's really exciting tonight before you to present an agreement which would govern the maintenance of the Butte County Association of Governments facilities being proposed to be constructed on town property at the intersection of Birch Street and Black Olive Drive. These are currently vacant and underutilized properties that can be used for parking informally, and we have a plan before you in other items that have been addressed for Butte County Association of Governments to advertise for bids and build the project. With that, they have been given permission to award to a contractor, and they're looking to start construction maybe later this year, again, weather permitting, early spring next year for completion. This will tie in nicely and was designed in conjunction with our downtown project. We were hopeful at one point that they could go side by side, but due to various funding factors through Butte County Association of Governments, the construction has been delayed until 2023 and 2024. Here before you, I have a location exhibit kind of showing the plan view. This is the southern side across from the town's Fleet Bay. This is the northern side here where the police department is, and a couple of generators here. So in short, the transit center, again, is really not a place where you would think that you would buy bus tickets. It's really a place where routes converge to change location or change direction. I don't have the route map in front of me, but if you were originating in Magalia, the route may need to come here so you can change buses and go to Oroville instead of staying on that bus, which goes to Chico. So that's in essence what the transit center is. I do have a couple of exhibits here about some 3D renderings of the shade structures and the bench that were done and processed through our design review that are really meant to match the community park depot feel of what exists in the downtown adjacent. I have one more picture to share, and here is the south side. So this is looking at the wall across, if we're standing at the Fleet Bay and looking across the street. So pretty neat.
Where the fire truck is now? The fire truck?
The old fire truck?
Yeah, where that
Yes.
is now, that's it.
Yes, so we're looking there. The parking lot will be formalized here and paved. I believe there's a plan for a couple of EV charging stations there at that location as well. And there's a structure here for storage for both Beeline, and the town could have access to a portion of that as well. That might help for community events. So all of this is, again, to get back to the purpose of the item before you, is for the maintenance agreement. Included in the agenda packet is the full copy of the maintenance agreement that has been signed by Butte County Association of Governments. But really, a really important note here is really governs the maintenance of the responsibility through BCAG and maintaining the exterior and interior of the transit center in good sanitary, neat condition, responsible for all utilities, janitorial, trash collection, exterior wall maintenance, graffiti. All fixtures of the structures that comprise the transit center are the responsibility of Butte County Association of Governments. Obviously, the agreement is much longer, governs insurance and indemnification and other items and term of the agreement, and we're asking council to approve it, authorize the town manager to execute it upon final legal approval. So with that, I would be glad to answer any questions.
Mark, you mentioned something about a charging station. Are we going to insist that they at least have they comply with the North American charging standards that are now being adopted by multiple automobile companies?
Yeah, right now, no charging stations have been agreed to. They're compatible to be put there, and so if they are, they will comply with the most current standards in effect at that time.
Okay.
Yep.
Do we have any cards?
I have no cards on this item.
Anybody? Yes, come on up. Come on, you have to come up to the mic. Give us your name.
Sorry, hi, Carrie Max. So whose job are you saying it is? That's all I just wanted to know. So whose job is that to maintain everything?
So Butte County Association of Governments will bear all costs and responsibility for maintenance of all structures. And so they're familiar, they have one in Oroville, also one in Chico, and similar arrangements with those entities.
Do we build it?
No, they're building it.
They're building it?
They're building it.
Okay.
It's just on our land.
This is just a maintenance agreement?
Yes, this is a maintenance agreement because there are going to be physical improvements to our land.
Right on.
Yes.
And we're very fortunate Councilmember Tryon is a member of the Butte County Association of Government. She ensures that Paradise will be recognized and all the things we need will happen because she's there every month. And I'm there as her alternate. So we're well in the mix of all that, so we know what's going on.
Good job, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been a long-term project, and it's sort of exciting to sort of see it finally come to fruition, and I think this will be good for our community, and it's kind of nice that we have this maintenance contract that really it's BCAG's responsibility to keep it up and not the town of Paradise. So anyway, it has been a long-term project, and thank you, Mark, for your work on this and seeing it through.
Thank you.
Do you want to make a motion?
I move that we approve.
And I second it.
Motion by Tryon, seconded by Lassonde,
I move a second.
to adopt resolution number 2023-49. Roll call vote, Councilmember Crowder,
Aye.
Councilmember Culleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Lassonde,
Happy to vote aye.
Vice Mayor Tryon,
Aye.
and Mayor Boland.
Aye.
Thank you.
6E, consider, and thank you guys, we're moving right along here. Good job, thank you. Consider adopting resolution number 2023-50, resolution of the town council of the town of Paradise, awarding contract number 9433-.con, evacuation zone sign project to McGuire Pacific Contractors in amount of the base bid, blah, blah, blah. Mark.
All right, thank you, Mayor Boland. Last item, I promise, for me anyways. Sorry, can't speak for others.
Comes in bunches.
All right, so this again is a contract award, second time, well, technically third. We talked about it at budget. The council authorized staff to advertise for bids, and now we have collected bids on this really, again, leading edge project to increase awareness and resiliency of the town of Paradise by increasing visibility on evacuation zones throughout the town of Paradise through physical signs. Again, this has been a community-driven request and something that we find very high value in increasing awareness, especially in conjunction with the use of the early warning sirens to provide specific instructions on specific zones if that situation did necessitate that. And for residents to be aware of their zone, whether it's the zone that they live in or the zone that they're visiting, we believe that's critical information. So with that, we have a plan to install signs at approximately I think 89 locations throughout the town of Paradise, here shown on this map. I'm sorry, that may be 45 locations, and there's 2 signs per location. So at the major zone breaks on the major roads throughout Paradise. They're meant to be in a similar style to emergency evacuation signs, especially compared to tsunami hazard warning areas or evacuation route signs themselves, very standard blue and white color. We have collected bids on the project and we received 4 bids. Our engineer's estimate was $83,100, and our low bid recommendation for council before you tonight is McGuire Pacific Constructors at their base bid amount of $70,777. Funding for this project is proposed to come from local gas tax funds, and the total estimated construction and construction management cost is $100,000. That is our exact budget for the fiscal year. The detailed accounting description includes our base bid. We do have a higher construction contingency recommended before council tonight at 20% instead of our standard 10%. And that's due to the low cost of this project. Lower cost projects, especially if there's any unforeseen issues that could require a remobilization, our standard 10% contingency may not be able to cover those costs. So with that, we want to be sure that we're still working within our budget and achieve the project delivery at the lowest cost possible. Again, our goal is to never really use these construction contingencies. We'd like design to match up perfectly and we build it in the perfect world. But in case little things come up, we want to be able to afford to address it without having to wait and come back to the council for that approval. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions. After we award construction contract, we could see the contractor work through the winter a little bit more easy to put in signposts in a spot in between an inclement weather. So ultimately, construction should be complete before the spring. But if we, once we have a kickoff meeting, we could see this thing move quickly as long as the supply of the signs and approvals come through quickly as well.
So these are with metal posts?
Yes.
Not wood posts?
No, they are metal breakaway posts on the roadside edges, and the minimum height clearance on the sign itself, so below the 11 will be about 7 feet higher than the adjacent grade, so they're not going to create new sight distance issues. They'll be placed in thoughtful areas, especially in residential areas. We're not going to just plop it right near someone's driveway. We're going to look for those property line breaks and cite them as best as we can. But again, really excited about the increased awareness of the zones in Paradise, and can see a model like this being used in a larger area.
So they won't be in the way of any bike paths, like if a guy's on a bike or a gal and, you know, it's 7 feet off the ground, you're on top of a bike, you could run into the bottom of the sign. They wouldn't be in any.
No, they'll be off the roadway shoulder.
Not in any bike lanes.
No.
My other question would be, since so many of our roads aren't gonna be, if we're gonna do this soon, the next few months, but so many of our roads, so they're gonna be out of any roadway repaving, ditches being dug, PID doing their work with it. So
Yes,
it's
yeah.
not a problem with putting these in.
No, it's really short work. I'd imagine they could probably get done quite a few in a day.
Cool.
So it'll be a short-term, low-impact project. The biggest labor-intensive item, I think, is going to be the final layout and verification of each individual pole to make sure that those vision and priorities that the council and the community wants are achieved.
Cool.
Yep.
Good job.
Other questions?
And just a comment, Mark, I conducted the very unscientific study this Sunday at Terry Ash Park for the Johnny Appleseed, and people were looking at the evacuation zone maps to figure out where their home was, and I simply asked them, well, what zone are you currently in? Because, and there were 0% correct answers to that question. And then I explained to them what we were going to talk about tonight, the signs, and they thought everyone, 100% of them thought it was a great idea to have these signs up because they really had no idea what zone they were really in. So they were worried about what zone they live in.
Wow, that's great great experiment. Thank you so much.
Any cards?
I have no cards on this item.
Okay, anyone wish to speak to this? Okay, seeing nobody, bring it back to council.
I'll move approval.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Motion by Cullivan, seconded by Lassonde, to adopt resolution number 2023-50. Roll call vote. Councilmember Crowder?
Aye.
Councilmember Culliton?
Aye.
Councilmember Lassonde?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Tryon?
Aye.
And Mayor Boland?
Aye. Thank you, Mark. That was a lot. You did good.
Good job, Mark.
Thank you.
because he handed the baton over. So 6F, consider acknowledging receipt and authorization for the town manager to execute the attached CAL FIRE California Climate Investment Grant Agreement in order to receive up to $2,469,159 in match funds for the Phase 2 tree removal. Colette Curtis.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Very pleased to share this item with you this evening. We have spoken about this grant before. This was a grant that the town received from CAL FIRE that is intended to be the match for our Category 4 tree removal program. So we do have a 25% match for that program, which has some town cost as well as the cost for property owners who are enrolled in that program. It has been our intention from the very beginning of that program to obtain a grant to make that free for property owners, but that really was contingent upon receiving a grant like this one. So we are extremely thankful to CAL FIRE for reviewing our grant and approving us for these funds. Again, it is up to the $2.4 million. It depends on the total amount that we spend on this grant. It will be 25% of that total spent. Again, this is the Phase 2 portion of the tree removal, which we are waiting on FEMA to approve our final environmental process, and we are expecting that approval to come in February of 2024. We are working very closely with them on that timeline, and so we do expect that that timeline will hold. So at that time is when we will begin authorizing tree felling, and that where this will come into play. I do want to say a very special thank you to our project manager, Brian Selecki. He worked very hard on this grant, very closely with CAL FIRE, ensuring they had everything that they needed, and we were absolutely overjoyed to see that the entirety of our grant ask was approved. So, and that really speaks to the hard work that Brian put in applying for this grant. So really great work, and this is going to be huge for our residents who are enrolled in this program. To have a free program to remove these trees really makes this an impactful program, which is what we envisioned from the beginning. So tonight we ask that council accept this grant and authorize the town manager to enter into the grant agreement with CAL FIRE. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I got a question, Colette.
Yes.
So everybody that signed up for this program when we announced it, it filled up right away, so there are other people that can't get in.
Yeah.
And we're still waiting for the funding to do it? Because the trees are, this is like
Yes.
many months ago.
Yes, that
And the
is
trees are
correct.
still there.
So FEMA authorized this grant in 2 phases. Phase 1, they approved for us to go ahead and enroll properties
Right.
and assess trees. And then with that information, so we did that at the end of 2022.
Right.
We enrolled 574 properties and assessed about 10,000 trees.
Right.
We took all of that information and sent it on to FEMA, contingent upon their approval of that information to approve us environmentally and through some other processes for Phase 2, which is the removal of those trees.
Where is that at?
So that is still with FEMA. We are working with them every week. We have a weekly meeting with them at this point to ensure that we stick to the timeline of February 2024.
So that's, you think we're gonna get approval from them by February of next year?
Yes, yes.
And then this money we'll accept now, and it'll be there to cover the 25% that the property owner was gonna have to pay.
Yes,
for the-
correct.
This is good. Okay, I just
Yes.
wanna make sure for the public's benefit, we're not dragging our feet.
Oh, no.
The government, the federal government said, here's some money to help you in recovery. We signed people up, they took advantage of the program. We're waiting on the federal government in their infinite wisdom to dot all the i's and cross all the t's and say, here's the money. February 2024.
Yes,
Coming
correct.
to your town soon.
That's right.
Good job.
And we're thankful to FEMA for helping us through that, so. Anything else, other questions? Any cards?
I have no cards on this item.
Anybody wish to come up? Seeing none? What's the wish of the council?
I'll make motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Crowder, seconded by Culleton to acknowledge receipt and authorize the town manager to execute the CAL FIRE grant agreement. Roll call vote, Councilmember Crowder.
Aye.
Councilmember Culleton.
Aye.
Councilmember Lassonde.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Triumph. Aye. And Mayor Boland.
Aye. And thank you, Brian, for your hard work in this, and Colette, thank you. But you're not done, Colette. So, 6G. Here an update on CDBG-DR workforce development allocation for Butte County for $18.7 million and a potential project, and concur with the continuing to work with the partner agency. Colette.
Yes, good evening again, Mayor and Council. This is another very exciting project that I'm happy to share with you. So as you know, CDBG-DR was allocated to the town of Paradise based on the Camp Fire disaster as a federally declared disaster. There are several categories of funding that come with CDBG-DR. You are very familiar with the housing allocation that Kate Anderson works with in her department. You're familiar with the infrastructure component that Mark Maddox works on in his department. And then there is another category of funding that is economic development, and in our case, it is has been selected for workforce development. So in the very major disasters, all of these categories of funding are allocated, and there is a future category of funding that we are expecting called mitigation. More on that to come. Tonight, we're talking about the workforce development allocation. So as part of the CDBG-DR allocation, $18.7 million was allocated to Butte County for the Camp Fire. This is funding that we do have to apply for, but is available to the entire county of Butte for workforce partners to apply for workforce training programs. So in anticipation of this funding, the town has been meeting with some of our workforce partners. They're listed in the staff report. There's a long list of them in the county, as well as Butte County and our neighboring jurisdictions, on how we can work together to utilize this funding in the best way possible in our region. And so through that work over the last 3.5 years, as we have been waiting for this funding, we have identified a conceptual project that I want to share with you tonight, and that is what we're looking for concurrence on continuing to work on that project. There are many phases to come on what this project will look like. The NOFA for this funding has just come out, so we are still looking through that to look at all of the details of this funding. This is a NOFA, or a Notice of Funding Availability, that we actually expected in January of 2023. So we have been waiting a very long time for this notice. Through this notice now, the application period is open and is open through February of 2024. So we are expecting, if everything aligns with our partners, to be submitting an application during that time period. So some of the information to know is, of course, this is through HUD, just like the other CDBG-DR funding. So we do have to follow the national objectives, including making sure that 85% of this funding goes to LMI, or low moderate income individuals. So that is top of mind for us as we're putting together this program. The conceptual project that we are looking at is a workforce training center that would be located within the town of Paradise on the Paradise High School campus. So Paradise High School and the school district are partners as well in this project. They are interested in rehabilitating some of the buildings that they have on their campus to be used as a workforce training center that would specialize in resilient building technology training and companion training. So we have worked with our workforce training partners, including VCE, EDD, Alliance for Workforce Development, Nortec, Butte County, CSU Chico, Butte College, and others, in how we could put together something like this. Again, this is a conceptual project, but we really want to take what we have learned as a community and the building techniques that are being used in this community and ensure we have a robust training program here for our residents, for our kids that are coming up through high school, and for adult learners to stay here in this community, as well as programs that will attract other adult learners to come in and learn some of the things that you really can only learn here in Paradise. We're really excited about this opportunity to submit a project. Again, it's very conceptual at this point, but we are looking for concurrence from council and any questions you may have in continuing to work with our partners to put this project together. Prior to any application that would be submitted, this would come back before council. We also will likely have some agreements that we will need to make with some of these other entities very formally to ensure that they are able to agree to some of these programmatic elements that the town would, of course, not be providing. So the way it would work structurally is the town would be the primary applicant, and the other entities would be sub-applicants with us providing some of those programmatic elements. So we would really be lending our expertise working with HCD, HUD, and CDBG-DR that these other entities lack. They just don't have as much experience working with those programs. So we would be able to help with that process to make sure that this project gets off the ground. If there's any other questions, I would be happy to answer them. But again, tonight we're just looking for concurrence.
So if we do this, we'll carry the heavy load.
Yes,
And
we would
you-
carry the load of the application. Yes, absolutely.
And you feel comfortable with that, and we have the time and staff for that?
Yes, that is something that we have looked at carefully, and that is something that, we think this is enough of a benefit to have in this community that we are happy to commit those resources of myself. Of course, we have Brian, the project manager in my department, and our other partners will also be working together on this as well. So yes, we feel comfortable moving forward.
Good, I like it. I know we're carrying the heavy load on it, so, but you got good partners here, which is neat. Other questions?
Yeah, so were they looking at doing this at the old Ridgeview site at one point?
Not that I know of.
Because, so this is a training center, these funds could be used to build
Yes, to build and also to provide the training as well.
and pay the teachers and all, but the teaching and all would be done not by school district employees, it'd be done by partner, like tradesmen.
Yes, so there would be, right, so likely there would be a variety of training that would be taking place there. There would be some high school tracks that would go through that, so there could be school district teachers that could be teaching some curriculum there. There also may be Butte College instructors that come in and do a dual enrollment class. We could also have, VCE is very interested in doing companion training and
But
developing
who would
that.
come to the class? Just our students or people from other communities?
Both. So we're working with the school district specifically on the rules for this, but we're really interested in having high school students utilizing it for part of the day and adult learners utilizing it for, if we can, at the same time, but certainly in the evening and weekends and summers.
And then our
VCE and Butte College are trying to train workers.
No, I get it, I'm all for that. But the two, and I'm all for this, I'm total support of it, I think it's a great idea. Being involved with CDBG funding and giving it to recipient organizations, there are many, many rules, and it has to be
Yes.
low to moderate income and all this stuff. So are we going to have to assure that, I mean, we can make the general case that our community meets that qualification, but as far as all of the people that may attend this thing, do we have to do all of that intake?
Yes, we do. Yes. So there is eligibility that has to
That's to Greg's
happen.
point about a heavy load.
Absolutely.
Now, maybe that can be, we can train school staff or somebody. But the other thing is, there's we put fences around with spiked tops around our school to protect our kids. And now we're gonna build a facility. I mean, when I heard about this quite a while ago, the school district started about maybe rehabbing the old Ridgeview campus to something like this, a trade school. So that made a lot of sense, because it would be, even though it's in the school district, you're not commingling. I'm all for this thing, but
I agree.
There's some problems you're gonna face.
Yes, I agree. That is something that we have thought about, and we've talked with Tom Taylor quite a bit about different programs that are available where you can commingle adult learners and certain age high school students at certain times. If that is not a possibility, we absolutely would be comfortable moving forward with a program where high school students utilize it during the school day and adult learners only would utilize it in the evening, weekends, and summers.
It's a great opportunity, but to Greg's point, if we're the primary, there's a lot to awarding, picking, letting the people, paying for that stuff.
There is.
A lot.
There is.
We have to
Recovery
work on
is hard and complicated, but we're here for it.
Other questions? So you want concurrence that we?
Yes, that's all I'm looking for here is to move forward, continuing to work with our partners to develop this
Is
project.
there anyone that does not want to see this move forward? We'll keep going? Keep going?
Keep going.
Okay, we're good.
Wonderful,
got it.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for taking that on. That's good. Something we need. All right. We are going into 7A, council-initiated agenda items. Don't have anything, so we're going to go into reports, community representation.
Can I go back to A?
No? Okay, go ahead. Turn your mic.
I'm concerned about our drainage ditches on the sides of roads, in that after the campfire, we had a lot of silting happening, a lot of erosion. I've noticed a number of them are filled in, and the dirt's actually sliding out onto the roads in several places. We had that last rain. I'd like to know at the next council meeting, if we can get something, what's the future plans on that? Because I understand when PG&E does their undergrounding, they have to restore it back to where it is when they got there, which means it won't be back to where it was before the campfire. So I'm concerned about our ability to have that runoff going down there and not compromising the roads, the safety of the road. So we have something about that next time.
And I was talking to Candace, and she said we got put way behind because of that storm we had last weekend. It was not last weekend, the weekend before.
That's one I mentioned.
Well, and there's things, I'm sorry, there's things too, like on Pearson Road, as you go up Pearson with Academy there, that big hill bank, it used to have manzanita and bushes on it, and so it prevented erosion. And now that sidewalk is covered in mud after, and every time it rains, that's gonna happen. Now, that's outside of our public right-of-way, so, you know, I mean, we get into that whole dilemma of private property rights and all of it, but that needs to be fixed.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I can speak to it a little bit now, or wait until next month, whatever the pleasure of the council is.
Yeah, we can talk about it next month.
Next month.
Okay.
It's not
So,
an emergency, but I would like it addressed.
Okay, reports, you want to start on?
Yes, sir, just a couple items. Let me bring them. I attended the BCAG and AQMD meeting. Rose will be able to speak to that. I also attended the Snoop Sisters ribbon cutting. What a neat shop that is. If you haven't been down there, if you're into antiques, you'll love it. If you're not into antiques, at least look at it, because they did a wonderful job down there, and it was really good ribbon cutting. And as I mentioned earlier, I was at the Johnny Appleseed town booth and served pies, and that was a whole lot of fun. So if you've not served pies during Johnny Appleseed, that's something you ought to sign up for at least once, because it's a whole lot of fun. And last but not least, we did have a meeting with the town manager, Councilman Crowder and I, to talk about future hospital needs and things of that nature. In fact, we have a meeting Thursday afternoon down in Enloe to talk with them, get educated on some of the issues and stuff. So we're moving forward slowly. It's not like people are saying, come on and ask me questions and let me come and build something for you. But we're heading in that direction, trying to push as much as we can, because we know how desperately it's needed up here on the ridge.
Good.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
So I had a couple things that are kind of interesting. I had a Zoom call yesterday with Kathy Yanni, because there's some releases that are going out to people, and people really don't know what these releases are, and there's actually two of them. One of them is called Made Whole Lease, or release, and it's kind of misleading because nobody's being made whole. That's actually a release that has to do with the insurance companies getting money back, but it's something that has to be signed. And then the other one is a release that is saying that as the trust winds down, this is what's happening. She did say they still have almost 68 million shares of stock. The stock is down right now. They're hoping it goes back up, but even if it doesn't, if they sold it today, it would still be pushing close to $1 billion in stock. And so many rumors out there. She said there definitely will be at least one more payment, so that was good to hear. Assemblyman Gallagher's office Sunday contacted me and said that AB 556 had been signed by the governor, and that is the bill where you had 5 years to rebuild your house to keep your same tax base in Butte County. So he managed to get that extended for an additional 3 years, so I think that's great news. I spent Saturday and Sunday at Johnny Appleseed working the town booth, and it's always fun listening to people and talking to them. Went to several ribbon cuttings. I made it by Ross's grand opening, and they had people from corporate and district and local management there. They all came up to me, told me how happy they were to be here, and I told them how happy we are to have them here. About 95% of everybody they hired has come from the Ridge area, so that's really great to see. Chip is building, I think they've got 5 lots up here to build housing on, and they had, well, it was all a wall raising on Bella Vista Avenue. The property owner was not there at the time, but I did get a chance to talk to him later. He's really excited. Another one that's doing a great job. Our Rotary Club had a Zoom call with Maui officials, and we got a chance to listen to what they're going through, share what we're going through. There's a follow-up call on October 20th, which will involve their mayor's office. So anything we can do there to help would be great. And I guess that's about it for me.
Okay, Rose?
So on the 18th, I met with the town's legislative committee to go over what our new platform is going to be for this upcoming year. On the 26th, I attended the CHIP Wells Fargo event at Bella Vista, which is the same one that Steve had just talked about. On the 28th, I attended BCAG and Butte County Air Quality Management District. You already received the presentation on the transfer center, which I think is going to be great. On the 3rd, I attended the solid waste management meeting with staff. On the 6th, I went to a seminar on the use of biomass and biochar in our communities for things like waste management and not only for the trees, but also for farm waste and for our food waste that's coming up too. That was held down in Winters. On the 7th, I attended the Johnny Appleseed event and worked the town booth. And then today, again, we met with Solid Waste Management along with Northern Recycling, our Solid Waste Management Committee staff, and Northern Waste Cycling, trying to move forward with our new, whatever our new agreement with them is going to be. So that's all I have to report for now.
My turn?
Your turn.
Let's see, what did I do? Well, I worked at the town hall booth with Mayor Boland and Vice Mayor Tryon and Councilmember Crowder. And although we were possibly viewed as being a Brown Act violation, I guaranteed the public we did not discuss any town business while we were there. We just talked about apple pie.
Karen Nartey.
It was a good time. It was really great. And that was during the test of the siren system. Now, my view as a resident of a siren is like the old-fashioned air raid siren. It's not a car alarm. But we were out in the park. There was a lot of ambient noise, granted, but we could barely hear the siren, which is really a fluctuating tone. And we couldn't hear any of the voice things. So I went home and took the survey. And I encourage all of the public, wherever you live in our community, when we do those tests on the 6th, our committee, the people in charge of the sirens are working with the contractor to try different loudness, to try different tones. We're going to get it dialed in. It's great that we have them. But so I encourage everybody, wherever you live, when on test day, noon on Saturdays, take the survey, go online, let the town know, because we won't know if you can't hear it on Valley View or on wherever you live, unless you do that. So we need you to tell us that. And then I attended the Solid Waste Committee the other day when we had an internal meeting, and then today we had a meeting earlier, and that project is moving along, and we will, just so the public is aware, the state of California has mandated some new laws, some new rules They're not giving us any money to make it happen, but pretty soon, you're gonna have to become an organic farmer and recycle your food scraps, so that's coming in the future, so we're working on all that stuff to see, make sure that's available in this community, because we're mandated, we have to do it.
But it's not new, it's 5 years old.
Pardon me?
It's 5 years old.
It doesn't matter, it's still gonna be something we have to deal with when it's rolled out, and it's coming soon, so, and that's, other than that, and then I got a little flyer here apparently that, when I sat at my desk, tomorrow the 11th, at 11 a.m. at the Veterans Hall.
November 11th.
Oh, November 11th, never mind, I'm done.
Close. So, yeah, they've pretty much covered everything I've done. The only thing that'd be different would be, that I'd be reporting would be LAFCO. The interesting part with that would probably be that there's still talk and negotiations and stuff going on with our little development just down the hill from us on Skyway here. And I guess there's some discussions with PID on that, so hopefully that doesn't go that way, and I don't think it will. It's gonna be very tough for that to happen. But anyway, that's something we're kind of watching and monitoring that situation. But the exciting part is a lot of big news is coming up and asking us, what's going on with your insurance? And we're getting an opportunity to get that out to the United States, that, Paradise is having an issue with insurance. And so is Florida, and so is Louisiana. They're having issues too. And so it's, those keep coming. The 5th anniversary is coming up, so there's a lot of interest in that. A lot of interviews and stuff going on with that, and I know Colette's been engaged in a lot of that too. But that's good. For me, I don't enjoy those things. They're not fun for me. But what is good is that it keeps Paradise in front of people, and that's important. I know when I was back in DC, sitting next to Rand Paul that night, he said, "So where are you from?" And I said, "Paradise." And he goes, "Oh, that must be nice." And I said, "Well, it used to be a little bit nicer." And our congressman in the law office says, "Yeah, that's the town that burned." He goes, "Oh, yeah, that's right, I forgot." But we got a chance to talk about it that night, and now he remembers, now he knows, and it's important for these people to be reminded of what happened here and be up to date on it. So a lot of that's going on, and that's exciting. So I will stop at that. I could bore you to death.
Greg, let me, on that note, there's a reporter in town from the San Jose Mercury News with a photographer, and they're doing a story. They're here tomorrow. Colette has their contact information. They're really looking for anybody that's here. The gist of their story is about how do you rebuild a community and make it fire safe. It's a very positive look at where we're at and where we're going, not at where we're at and where we've been. So Colette's got their contact information. If you know anybody especially that has moved here after the fire, they're really curious to talk to people that moved here and what drew them here and why did they want to come here with it being the way it is now. They're doing a very positive story.
Thank you. Good. Future agenda items, anything from anybody? Other than what you talked about? Okay. And I think we got that noted. Town manager's report?
No additional report. I will say, though, that I did attend Johnny Appleseed Days for the first time ever in my life in Butte County. And although I didn't serve pie, I did consume pie, and it was really good.
That's all that counts.
That's better. Okay. That will end our session, so we're going to close this. Thank you all.